Look, it is fantastic news. I'm really looking forward, hopefully, soon to be able to inviting a few friends around for a barbie.
Yep.
But on a more serious note, for all those, particularly the Victorian opposition and all those people who have been talking about the police state and carrying on in absurd metaphors, it just demonstrates that the Victorian public have been behind Daniel Andrews and the tough strategy. It's been a very tough 6 months, particularly tough the last 3 months, 23 hours where you couldn't leave your own home. But it works for those who want to say that the sort of tough measures that were put in place don't work. You've just got to take the comparisons in Europe right now, in the US right now, and you look at Victoria and what we've achieved.
Yeah, I guess Victorians, you amongst them perhaps, still want to know what happened with the quarantine situation.
No question. No question we need the truth, and the Premier set the inquiry up to get to the truth, and they've extended their deadline following new evidence, which I think was important for the credibility of the inquiry, and hopefully now we'll get the truth.
Yeah, well, we await that report, absolutely. We want to see every single detail of that one. Let me ask you about what's going on within the federal party at the moment. Joel Fitzgibbon was on here yesterday saying he thinks Mark Butler needs to get another senior portfolio. He made the point that he's been in the job for 7 years in the climate change portfolio. They've lost 2 elections and Australians really haven't backed that policy platform in. Do you think that's a fair call?
Look, I think the policy is what the ALP have to work on. You can't put forward the same policy and say to the people of Queensland, where our primary vote is 25%, or the people of Western Australia, where our primary vote is about 23%, and say, you got it wrong, now get it right the next time. So the ALP has to come up with the middle ground between achieving the renewable energy targets and guaranteeing people that they're going to still have jobs over the next 10 to 15 years, and the electricity prices aren't going to go through the roof, and that manufacturing industry will be able to afford to have electricity. If you put forward a package that is similar to the package we put forward in 2016 and 2019 elections, we will get the same results. The people of Queensland and Western Australia have been very clear about what they think of the ALP's policy package. So the personnel are important, but they're not what is determining. The people of Queensland didn't vote against Mark Butler. They voted against our policies. And unless we understand the message that you can't govern the inner cities of Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, you've got to reach out and give faith to the people in regional and rural Australia, and particularly Queensland and Western Australia. Otherwise, the ALP will be doomed to lose the next election.
Do you think the ALP are falsely buoyed by a Joe Biden presidency?
Well, look, absolutely. If any of my colleagues think that Joe Biden's victory, as great as it is to see, was a vindication of the new Green Deal, they should have a chat to Nancy Pelosi right now. We've lost, the Democrats, when I say we, the left, parties of the left, have lost 8 seats in the House of Representatives. They've now got a razor-thin majority. They've almost wiped out the gains they made 2 years ago in the blue wave, as they call it. If anyone thinks this was an endorsement of the new Green Deal and tougher targets, then they are smoking something. And they really need to understand that Joe Biden will take the US back into Paris, which is great. But the federal government, to their credit, Scott Morrison, did not pull out of the Paris Accord. Biden's simply going back into the Paris Accord. Now, yes, the federal government need to be more ambitious, and yes, they should be pressured on being more ambitious. But if the ALP wants to be take that as a glowing endorsement of a mid-tier target in 2035, or any of those sorts of arguments that are being put forward, they will get exactly the same result in 2022. And the whole party has to understand this. And both sides have got to stop public slanging and devise a policy platform that can be supported by not just people who live within a 5-kilometre radius of the GPOs of Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane.
Is Albanese in trouble?
Look, if you want to talk about an opposition leader in a COVID situation, you've got to look at the other examples around not just the world but here in Australia. Deb Freckleton got on board with the anti-lockdown and putting forward positions which were not supported. And as an opposition leader, she got smashed in an election she should have won in Queensland. Northern Territory government been there a long time. They should not have got the result that they got. You've got to look at New Zealand, smashing endorsements. So there's 3 oppositions that have been killed. And in Victoria, Michael O'Brien, who has tried to play politics with the pandemic the whole time, is on 15% approval rating. Albo has absolutely played this smart. He's not tried to be too political, but he's picked on the issues like job seeker, job keeper, where the government has stuffed up.